In this section, as a follow-up to some of the leg stuff, what I'm also going to cover is how to relax your legs, because I think that sometimes, I take for granted that people get that idea. So just like how we relax our arms, where we want to be so relaxed that we can literally feel the muscles hanging on the bone, where the muscles feel almost flaccid. The idea behind it is when you relax your muscles, they're now more responsive to what you want to do. In other words, if my muscles are tense and I'm trying to throw punches, I'm actually creating an antagonistic muscle that's actually holding me back. So just like if you ran track or whatever the case may be, you played sports, then you knew a certain level of relaxation was kind of the optimum thing you wanted. You're not flaccid falling around, but there's a certain amount of relaxation where you're finding that balance between being relaxed enough, but also using just enough muscle so that you can perform whatever it is you need to perform, so that you have the full use of the muscles in your body when you need them. It doesn't mean that you never feel tense or tight at times. It just means that you're relaxing as much as possible to get the maximum contraction and maximum explosiveness out of the muscles. So one of the things for the legs I like to do is, I like to just stand there on one leg and pick the other leg up. At first, just get a feel for the relaxation in the leg, and kind of just let the leg just hang there, even move it around a little bit back and forth. Kind of like, when you see people in track getting ready to run, and you see them and they literally loosen their legs up before they get down to sprint. Because what they're doing is they're kind of neurally priming their muscles to that relaxed state. And also it helps relieve a lot of tension and nervousness right before you're gonna run. And so I pick the leg up, and just like a track runner, I just kind of shake it out a little bit. But what I'm concentrating on is, I'm concentrating on literally feeling the muscle shake on my leg, just like I can feel the muscles when I move my arms like this, shake on my arms. I want to feel that relaxation, because what it tells me is when I can feel the muscle actually shaking, that I'm not using any unnecessary muscle in order to achieve this. Once I've done that a couple times and I get that feel, then I pick the leg up. I just kind of let the leg drop. I'm not trying to really hold it back. I'm just letting it drop, feeling like almost kind of the natural bounce or snap in the muscles, because I just want to feel that feeling. Once I've done that a couple times, then I like to pick the foot up and just shake it a little bit in different directions, but very short distances. Again, this is kind of like neural priming. And what I'm doing is going from a state of total relaxation, and then for a microsecond, a state of maximum contraction. So whereas as I'm kicking that leg out, I can feel the muscles working back and forth, but I'm also catching the relaxation in between. From there, whenever I'm practicing any kind of kicking or leg movement, I then try to maintain that state of relaxation as much as possible. So if I'm kicking my feet out, or if I'm throwing a kick, from the time the leg lifts to the time I snap the kick in, I only want to be using the muscles in my legs and in my hip flexors necessary to guide the leg, so that at the end when I kick, I get maximum explosive power, but also I get the speed that comes with it from being relaxed. I also like being relaxed in the legs like this, because it allows me to quickly change direction. If you probably recall one of the previous videos, I talked about this thing of nimbleness, of being nimble. And I think it's kind of a lost art in the martial arts, of people training their bodies to be nimble, because of the fact that, being nimble, it requires a lot more work than people think. It requires a lot more practice. When we were little kids, we were nimble all the time. And that's because our minds were free, and we didn't sit around trying to look cool all the time, going in the horse stance or whatever. We just did stuff. So you want to kind of get back to that. So as I'm moving around, I just start moving my legs in different positions. And what I'm trying to do is, as I'm controlling my leg, I'm trying not to have any unnecessary preparatory movement as I change direction. So if I kick here, I want to be able to go here. If I lift, I want to be able to do this, 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 and this. And what I'm doing is I'm training myself to also move in an efficient manner, and move as little as possible with as much speed and explosiveness as possible. One of the things I think that is a big problem in certain arts is the insistence on always going slow. And the problem with that is, if you always go slow, when you have to accelerate to violence, don't expect it to be there for you. And the reason is the part of the brain that controls speed, you got to develop that. And you got to develop the neural pathways and connections to do that. And you don't develop it if you don't practice moving at speed, because you also got to learn to control the over travel. You got to learn to control the unnecessary tension. You got to learn to control your body. You got to learn how to position your body before you do something so that your arms and legs, especially your arms, can catch up to what your body's doing. So it's the same thing here. As I'm changing direction, what I'm trying to do is be as relaxed as possible from the hips all the way down, to have the freedom of movement in my feet. So if I have to step out of the way and kick somebody in the groin, I can do it without having to worry about getting into position, setting up, throwing the kick or some kind of formalized thing. And so as you practice this, just get that feel. Don't worry about how it looks. Don't worry, obviously don't do it in public because then, they think you're crazy, but just get that feel that relaxation, feel the freedom of movement. And what you'll find is, not just in your feet, but throughout your body, you're gonna feel a certain level of freedom, a certain level of relaxation. And that's because body unity, as we like to call our dynamic coordination, it actually starts in your feet.